Shabbat Shalom. When one's spouse goes out of town, and then we know they're coming back, this may be true more for men than for women, but we think we really need to prepare the house to make sure to receive them back the way it should be. And so make sure that the house is orderly and clean, because we really want to receive them back with love, and for them to feel this is our shared house, so we can be in together when they come back. And it made me think it's not so different from those stories of medieval princes and kings who build palaces for their beloveds and say, this is a house for you to dwell in. This is a house for you to enjoy, to fill with your presence and grace for all of us. And this is the essence of the parsha, right? The idea of God coming down, coming from above or coming from below or coming from wherever God is, from that place of pure being, and to create a home here in this very reality, in this world. Asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocha. Make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among you. And the word sanctuary, mikdash, comes from the word kadosh, right, holiness. Make me a holy place so that I may dwell among you. So Rashi says, the French commentator, let's make a place of holiness. And what did they call that place of holiness? The word for tabernacle in Hebrew is mishkan, from the verb to dwell, lishkon. This is God's dwelling place on earth. And so Sforno, the Italian rabbi, he says, well, I will dwell among them permanently in order to receive their prayers and their sacrificial offerings in a manner similar to the way I displayed my presence at the mountain. And so we see that intense presence at the mountain, the way our tradition recounts it, everything shaking and hearing God's voice, that could be part of our permanent relationship with God. But to make it happen, they had to create a holy dwelling place, a mikdash. And so the Midrash has this long explanation for what was it? What does it mean? And so first it compares it to a shepherd who doesn't have a flock, and a flock who doesn't have a shepherd. And so the flock invites the shepherd and say, do you want to be our shepherd? And he says, well, first construct a pen so that I may come and herd you. Perhaps maybe a little bit more relatable. Says, I'm a sovereign and you are children. Construct a house for your parent. And so what's the nature of this house we have to build? We have so many details. What do they all mean? So on one hand, it's about the beauty of this house, as we've been saying all morning, to honor our beloved, the most beautiful materials. And the Midrash says, well, there are some things that God created in this world that were so wonderful that God concealed them and said human beings cannot use those. For example, the divine light. It's a whole tradition around that. But then there are other things that were so beautiful, and God thought, I probably should not let human beings have them, but I will anyway, just for them to be able to construct things of beauty to a higher purpose. And those were cedar and gold and silver, because we could use them either way, but they could be used to build things of great beauty to inspire awe and reverence. It's even more than the beauty, because it's meant to be a place of holiness. So we know what holiness means to us in our time. What did holiness mean in the Bible? And it's interesting, in the whole book of Genesis, of Bereshit, the word kadosh barely comes up at all. Really the only place the word kadosh comes is when God says, God blesses about creating Shabbat. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. And so that gives us a sense of what holy is. Holiness is like Shabbat, a place of peace, a place of harmony, where there's no spirit of creation, but rather a spirit of contemplation. And then it comes up again. The next time it really comes up is at the burning bush, when God says, this is holy ground, this Adamah is holy, this ground is holy. Moses, take off your shoes. And so a holy place can have a physical manifestation, and it demands symbols of physical respect because of the awe that one feels. We find it again as they cross the sea and they say, this God is the holiest of all. And then again, when they're preparing for Mount Sinai, they're told again and again, make yourself holy, go into that place of peace, go into that place of harmony. And there it's put on clean clothes. Pay attention to what's happening. Don't think about mundane things. And then after, when God starts to talk about the tabernacle, we find this word hundreds of times in the rest of the Torah. So what does it mean? God commanded them a house so that he could dwell them. Well, the house is to be filled with God's presence, and for that presence to dwell, they had to act a little bit differently than when they were in it. They had to preserve certain boundaries around it because as the burning bush, they had to make sure they approach with peace and harmony in their hearts, just like Shabbat, and that would create an awe sense for them. And God made these materials available to help them get to that place, for that atmosphere. And maybe from all the chapters that detail so many things, all the IKEA constructions of a tabernacle, we can also infer that there are just as many different details to how we, each one of us in our own lives, create that sense of holiness, of Kedusha, from the clothes we wear, the little rituals we have to create that space of mind, the steps we take. There's a beautiful tradition on Shabbat. If you walk to shul, going to Minyan, the other days on Shabbat, you should take a different path because Shabbat is its own thing. All the little things we do to create that sense of holiness. In the end, the message is that the Torah's message is the Jewish people chose this way of life. God we told the shepherd, we're going to make a pen so you can live amongst us. Because God said, will you be a holy people? And the Jewish people said, yes. And so the Baal Shem Tov, in the end, says, the founder of Hasidim, there's not going to be a third temple, probably, he said. But the verse tells us that make me a sanctuary so I may dwell inside of you, literally. That the third temple is in our own hearts. And so maybe we don't really need a dedicated building, but in our own hearts we can create that mikdash, that holy space, that place of peace and harmony, that place of having respect for other human beings, of acting in a certain way. And when we keep our mind in that place, and we know each one of us how to get there, then we're following that commandment, make me a sanctuary so I may dwell amongst you. And we have a little bit of that, a little bit at a time, then we can bring it and radiate it out to the people in our lives. And that goes a long way to combat the hate, the fear, the anger, the negativity that fills so many corners of our world at this moment, of our broken world. And give us an opportunity in our own little way to bring repair, to bring love, peace, and awe. Shabbat Shalom.